Welcome to the weather forecast on the CIA TV channel. Dear friends, in today's forecast, we'll break down what you need to know about ERIN later in the video. ERIN is becoming a major hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean and will impact land, including the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Bermuda, and even the east coast of the United States. First, let's talk about the potential for severe weather over the next few days. Starting today, which is Friday, we have a slight risk of severe weather in place, including Minneapolis, Eau Claire, Rochester, just west of Green Bay. We also have a marginal threat from Chicago all the way to eastern Wyoming. The biggest concern today will be strong winds and large hail. But there's also a chance for a few tornadoes. So we'll be watching this storm in the area near Minneapolis, Rochester, Eau Claire, and then the northern Michigan Peninsula. Hurricane Wasa is also in that area. And on Saturday, the severe weather threat continues across the Midwest and northern plains, with a low risk of severe weather, including strong winds and hail. There is also a low chance of 1 or 2 isolated tornadoes in South Dakota near Pierre, just east of Rapid City and just west of Sioux Falls. So keep an eye on the weather tomorrow. Now, let's talk about the severe weather timing, starting today across the Midwest. We'll see some storms develop around 2 to 3 p.m. across Minnesota, with the main concerns being strong winds and isolated hail. The chances of an isolated tornado or 2 are very low if any of the storms are able to stay contained. However, I don't think it's going to be exactly like this, where we just have a large cluster of storms moving through Minnesota and Wisconsin. What's likely to happen is we'll have a few storms develop in different areas, mostly between 12 and 9 p.m. and they'll eventually move into Wisconsin with a mostly wind threat. But there's still a chance for tornadoes, so stay calm. I'm not really expecting much beyond a brief tornado threat. And then on Saturday, another round of storms could be in the morning across areas like Minneapolis. And then eventually, they'll move into Wisconsin and also head toward Illinois in the afternoon. So there could be some storms coming back near Milwaukee and even back into northern Illinois on Saturday night. So, definitely some stable weather. Now, back in the northern plains. Don't expect much severe weather today. Just very weak wind gusts and maybe a very low risk of tornadoes around 6 a.m. in western Nebraska and western South Dakota. They'll eventually move into a small cluster as we head into late Friday night and early Saturday morning. And finally, as we head into late Saturday and Sunday, there's a chance for a few storms anywhere from central Nebraska back into western South Dakota. The initial threat is hail and wind. The tornado risk is low with these storms. And then we could see a couple of storms break out overnight as well, which could bring all the severe weather threats. Then on Sunday, another round of severe weather is possible. Mostly back across the northern plains and the highlands, where there's another risk of hail and wind. And after this weekend, we're expecting the threat of at least some isolated or scattered severe weather to continue on Sunday and Monday across the northern plains and Midwest. Tuesday, Wednesday look similar. Just isolated severe weather days. And finally, Hurricane ERIN is going to be very close to North Carolina on Thursday. Then next week, which is the last week of August, I don't really see any major severe weather events. I think it's just going to be generally hot. Pretty typical for the end of August. However, I think there will definitely be another tropical system coming in later this month, so we'll be keeping a close eye on it. Next up is we'll start with what's going on right now across the Atlantic. And this is ERIN, which is going to be a major hurricane as we head into the weekend. Right now, it's just a few hundred miles east, part of the Lesser Antilles category. And it's moving quickly west. It's expected to stay just north of the Leeward Islands. But the tropical storm potential remains. And we could even see some low-level storm impacts in the northernmost parts of the Leeward Islands and near Puerto Rico as we head into the weekend. And then finally, as we head into next week, this storm is going to continue to turn. It could head toward Bermuda. It could even slide along the Bahamas and even toward North Carolina. We have a lot of convection towers that are forming around a defined area of circulation, and we can see that pretty easily later today in the western Atlantic. Also, we've got some strong outflows coming off our storm, which also suggests that this storm is strengthening pretty quickly. ERIN is expected to become a strong hurricane and become a major hurricane as we head into Saturday, just north of the Lesser Antilles. Tropical storms are expected to affect both the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. As we head into Sunday and Monday, this will be a Category 4 just north of Puerto Rico and just east of the Bahamas. And it could be a Category 3 until it parallels at least North Carolina. We can see it still tracking toward North Carolina. That's entirely possible. Landfall is not guaranteed, but it could actually get close to the coast. I don't think it's going to get as far west as Florida at this point in time for this next major storm center. But I still think we could see something very close to the east coast of the United States. Probably within 150 miles of North Carolina, which would be enough to bring at least some of the outer bands into North Carolina and also create a storm surge threat. But there could be some big surf and rip currents in New England as we head into the second half of next week. So as we head into Saturday, this storm will be just north of Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands, potentially at least a Category 2, if not a Category 3. On Sunday, this storm is expected to rapidly intensify into a Category 3 to 4. And on Monday, notice how it moves quite a bit to the west, very close to the Bahamas. On Tuesday, this continues to slide east of Florida. Again, I don't expect much for Florida other than the threat of rip currents and higher surf heights on Wednesday and into Thursday morning. That's when the symbolic model takes us right up to North Carolina. So if we see major impacts in areas like South Carolina, North Carolina or Virginia, they're likely to happen on Wednesday or Thursday of the upcoming work week. And by late Sunday and Monday, I think it's going to be very close to the Bahamas. I don't think it's going to be close enough to cause major impacts, but I think some moderate impacts, including storm surge, could happen. That's something we're certainly watching very closely. Then as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, I think this storm will continue to move north. Obviously close enough for storm surge to happen, and the outer bands could even reach some of the Corollas Islands. We will continuously update the storm situation in the next news. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on CIA TV channel.